What's up, y'all? Another video for you guys. Please subscribe. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new. So I have a story for you guys. Basically, around the time right before I started this YouTube channel, I want to tell you a story about how I gained a job skill that I was able to use later on, that I gained by an accident that I wasn't really thinking about, but after doing it and seeing all the ins and outs of naturally what I was doing, I was like, okay, this is something I could probably, if there's a company that's hiring or an agency that's hiring that has to do with what I'm talking about, I could shoot for it and I'll have my best chance at getting it because I could put it down as an experience. So from the time I was 16 until I was around 27-ish, I have said plenty of times on this YouTube channel, mostly in the beginning, that I used to sell weed, and I used to actually make money doing this, and was able to rent apartments. I was renting different spots. I was able to pay for my bills, stuff like that. I was doing everything all from weed. And my grandmother, she was a very important person in my life, and the reason she's like part of the fact of who I am today, because she helped raise me. There were times I lived with my grandmother, and my mom was just focusing on her mental health, stuff like that. Like, I was living with my grandmother, and I always knew my grandmother to be like this strong person, this hero. I always thought of her to be someone who would just never ever leave. She would never ever leave this earth. I used to, we all know we're all gonna pass away, but I thought, just who the type of person she was and how she raised me, and how much she's done for me throughout my life. I thought she would always be there, obviously, not seriously. But anyway, she, so long story short, she watched me, through my journey, when I was in the streets. She watched all that. She knew what I was doing, but long story short, as I started hitting age 26 and I was still down south doing that, she ended up getting very sick. She was old. She was 85 at this point. And she ended up getting very sick with stomach cancer. So she got diagnosed, and I remember still after she got diagnosed with the stomach cancer, she went on to still be kind of independent, living on her own, driving places, still at that old age of 85 after she got diagnosed with the stomach cancer. And slowly over time, she started to deteriorate. One thing that started to go first was she started sleeping a lot. So she didn't even really have any stomach symptoms other than when she first got diagnosed. When she first got diagnosed, she had the stomach pains and stuff like that. But when she was diagnosed, and I guess they gave her medication, she didn't have stomach pain anymore, and she was more, the first thing she started getting tired. So long story short, when she started deteriorating enough, we ran into the issue with, okay, now at this point, she can't live on her own anymore. She can't live on her own and do her own thing anymore. So we discussed this, extensively. We were like, who's gonna, be there for her, stuff like that. And at the time, due to the lifestyle that I was living, the family kind of discussed, well, David is the only one that's unemployed, and we're gonna use him to we're asking you, David. This is the first time I say my first name. But we're asking you to step up and take care of her because you're the only one that's quote unquote unemployed. And I had no problem doing it. It was just a hard transition so suddenly for me personally. I had to drop everything I ever knew, everything I ever built up until that point, and go up to New York and take care of my grandmother. So I did, and literally when I got up and I was taking care of her, slowly but surely over time, she got worse and worse and worse, up until the point she was bedridden. I was there for all of that. I used to test her sugar, the little finger prick thing. She couldn't do it on her own. I was doing that, testing her sugar. I was cooking, cleaning, stuff like that. Cooking and cleaning to where she can't, she can't get out of bed, stuff like that. And we would have these nurses and aides come in and kind of take the weight off me a little bit and take care of her. We would pay some aides to come in and so that I get a break and stuff like that. I could go out, do what I want to do. So long story short, like, I'm going to talk about the aides for a minute. The aides that we used to pay to come in to do the night shift and stuff like that. Like, I used to see their flaws. Like, I used to see how they would come in, they'd be up in there sleeping when they had nothing to do, stuff like that. Just like stuff like that. Like, we had one aide come in and she basically pretty much, like, she would come in and use it as an opportunity to go to sleep. So she would be like, every time my grandmother needs to go to the bathroom and stuff like that, like, the aide would be there and then she would wake up and then, bring her to the bathroom, put her in the wheelchair, bring her to the bathroom, stuff like that. But overall, she would use that opportunity to sleep. So I would see all of this, that the aides, their flaws, and so some of them weren't reliable. They would show up late and stuff like that. Like, little things I would see that I'd be like, you know what, like, I do this job better than these aides. Like, I take care of my grandmother better than the aides do. And like, they're unreliable, showing up late and stuff like that. So I'm like, shit. It got to the point where I was kind of talking to them about it. Like, I was even talking to them about the industry in general. I was like, yo, how is this, like, for something to do for a living? I was asking them, are there males that apply to this agency and work and stuff like that? She was like, yo, males, they're like very valuable because of their male strength. They could be able to lift the patients and stuff like that. And then they hire a lot of males for the male patients, like the male patients who are a little bit, let's say, heavier, or just like maybe the women may not be able to handle the male patients the way a male would. So, I'm thinking about all this, like, because I knew, as harsh as it sounded, I knew my grandmother didn't have too much longer to live, right? So, but I was going to be there to the end. But long story short, so in July of 2024, she passed away. It was very hard for the family, stuff like that. But, and moving on to the point, when I knew the job market was hard. So one thing that I thought in my head was that this is something that I have thought of and I pre-planned that I was gonna do, because I did it for my grandmother. So I was like, I could jump in this industry and be better than half of them. Like, because like I said, I would see the flaws in the aides that used to come to my grandmother's crib. So long story short, that's what I did. And here's some game for you guys. Like, the healthcare industry is always going to be hiring. They're always dying to get people. Like, they need people so bad. The turnover rate is so high, even for simple positions like personal care aides. You got the HHAs, the home health aides. You got the certified nursing assistants. There's a bunch of different things you could do, but they're always hiring because there's always going to be people that are sick. We live in times where people are living longer, and we live in times where just everybody's getting sick. Like, since the beginning of time, everyone gets sick. As harsh as this may sound, everybody at some point gets sick and passes away. So the healthcare industry is always going to be booming, and they always need people to work. They always going to be hiring, and I knew that. So I was like, when I started entering the job market, I started off at Old Navy, but then after that, when I was looking for something a little bit better, I was targeting the healthcare agencies because I know how desperately they needed people. And here's some things, and like, when I'm telling you guys this in this video, be free to steal my ideas. Like, if you're struggling to look for a job right now, if you're looking at this video and you're struggling to look for a job, the healthcare industry, I'm telling you, they're always hiring no matter what. Like, you have a better shot of applying there and landing something than like applying to these other random jobs that may pay very well, but there's so much competition. In the healthcare industry, I'm telling you, like, it might to some degree still be competitive, but at the same time, like, no, the healthcare industry is always like thirsty. That's the best way I could say it. So I'll tell you one thing. When I was still at Old Navy and I was applying to, I need to have a higher paying job, I was applying to a bunch of different places, a bunch of different industries, including one in my degree field and stuff like that. I was applying to a bunch of different places, but I also applied to the healthcare industry, where I would apply to jobs like this. I would even focus on jobs that involved 24-hour oversight with people with autism. You get what I mean? Like, I've always been like decent at stuff like that. Like, now I'm gonna get to my point later on in the video, but I've always been decent at like just connecting with human beings. I've always been decent at connecting with human beings in person. You know, I may have to work on my skills on camera, but in person I've always been like a connector with people. So, you know, that was one thing I applied to too, like dealing with people with autism, stuff like that. And there's one thing I noticed when I was in the job hunt and I was applying to all these jobs. I would find that out of all the places I applied to, barely anyone would call me back, but the places that would call me back like almost immediately would be the healthcare jobs. Like, all the healthcare jobs that I applied to, even if, let's say, I applied to 2 or 3 where I didn't actually get the job, they at least call me back. Like, they call me back and like call me in for an interview, because they're like, yo, we're really looking for people. And I ended up eventually landing the job that I have right now. That it's funny me saying to you this to you now. I'm about to get fired from this job for sleeping. You know, and that's my own damn fault. Like, that's my own damn fault. But like, the point is, I landed this job in healthcare, and it's a good job, and it's a large agency, and I'm able to navigate it. So when I first got hired, they asked me, you know, we'll even let you choose where you want to be. We'll let you choose and pick which group home you want to be in, stuff like that. So because of my I want to just keep certain things to myself. Because of my degree field, there was a section of an agency that I want to go there, because that fit my degree field the most, like what I went to school for. So I was like, let me go here, because that's what I'm most interested in. I went to school to do this. So let me go to this section of the agency, as opposed to, I don't want to be on this section of the agency where I'm wiping ass. Now, listen, I've never had to wipe no ass. Like, even when I was taking care of my grandmother, the aides would come in and do that. You get what I'm saying? When she got really, really sick, you know, everybody gets old. Everybody gets, you know, my grandmother used to be sharp, but she hit that point where she had to wear the briefs and stuff. And like, when the aides would come in, they would have to change her and stuff like that. Long story short, I didn't have to do all that. But then when I got to this agency, I know to myself, I didn't want to do that either. And I want to make a disclaimer to you guys. Like, I'm not talking down on people who do that type of work, because here's the thing. The reason why I don't feel bad about saying I don't want to wipe no ass is because how I always say it is, there are plenty of people that will be willing to do that type of thing. Not to sound harsh, but there are plenty of people that, let's say, are going to school for nursing and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of people in my company right now that they're probably like going to school to be a doctor. They're going to school to be a nurse. They might want to do work like that where they're wiping ass and stuff like that, because they know that when they get into their field and stuff, that's just one of the many things that they're gonna have to get used to doing. Not saying that they're just doing that all day, but it's one of the main things that they have to get used to doing. So when I sit up here and I say, well, I don't want to wipe no ass, like, I'm saying that in the vein that I know there are other people who are qualified, more qualified than me, that will be able to do that. Like, it's not like they're gonna have no staff that are gonna, like, it's not like nobody's gonna want to do that. There's always gonna be some people in the medical field that will be able to step up and do that. So, and I didn't go to school for medical, so I was like, okay, in my degree field, I want to go to this section of the agency where I'm dealing more with addiction and addiction issues, substance abuse. I want to deal with that part of the agency where I do 24-hour oversight. So they made it happen for me. I ended up in this section of the agency where I was looking over people who got substance abuse problems, mental health issues. They have mental health issues. Some of them are like just various different stories. I'm not saying this is my group home, but there's other staff that deal with people that are coming home from prison, stuff like that. Like, so I want to go to that section of the agency. So, but the way that I got this job is that I put on my resume that I used to do this type of work with my grandmother, like personal home health care. So it relates to the group home form of the industry. So I guess what you could take from this video is that sometimes, like, let's say if you apply, let's say you don't have a job, you're applying to jobs and stuff like that, you're figuring out you just got fired from your last job, you try to figure out something to do. Sometimes, like, your skills, even though you may be thinking to yourself, you don't got no skills, because I used to think that about myself too. We all know the rumors about college ain't worth it no more, this, that, and the third. So it's like, what other skills could I bring to the table? Basically, like, sometimes your skills are already right in front of your face. And in my case, it was dealing with my grandmother, and I was able to use those skills and transfer it to what I'm doing now. Now, the joke's on me because my stupid ass about to get fired for sleeping. But the point is, like, as I move throughout life, like, let's say I get fired from this job, they probably gonna call me on Friday or whatever. Like, you just gotta, like, use your brain a little bit. That's it. So, like, me, I've already got, one thing about me, like, whenever something bad happens to me or I take, like, some type of loss or something, like, just in a situation where I'm about to get fired like this, I'll be depressed for like a day. I'll be thinking about it hard, like, overthinking about it. Like, I'll be stressed as fuck for like a day. But then the next day, like, I'll be back into my mojo again, and I'll be like, yo, what am I about to do next? Like, I'm about to make shit shake. I'm about to make it happen next. Like, whatever I'm about to do, I'm about to do it. You got me? Like, I'll spend one day depressed, and then I'm in go mode. I'm in like, okay, I just got to figure it out. So I guess, I don't know if that video flowed, but this is the video for you guys. Like, again, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, thank you so much. Comment, leave your thoughts, share it. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you so much.